Okay, Mr. President, we're live in 3, 2, 1, and take camera 2. Cue the President.
Tonight, I would like to pretend that the statements made by me and members of my administration over the past month have presented a coherent narrative about Libya up to now. That way I can say that this is an update for the American people on the international effort that we have led in Libya, what we've done, what we plan to do, and why this matters to us. First, I would like to make a shout-out to the diplomats who have worked so hard behind the scenes to make sure that no written record will point the finger of blame in my direction. Also, a shout-out to the troops. Their backsides cash the checks that my mouth writes. Ever since the first progressive president, Teddy Roosevelt, started waving his big stick around, the U.S. has periodically decided to play World Cup. Now, we all know this costs a lot of money, and I'm fighting a proxy war with Congress about how much to spend. So it's important that you know that I'm not just throwing it away. But since I'm telling you that Libya is important, you should believe me. Libya is between Egypt and Tunisia. I know anyone who can read a map already knows that, but keep it in mind anyway, cause it'll be an important rhetorical hook at the end. Muammar Gaddafi is a bad man. He lied, cheated, and stole. Not content with being a politician, he then started killing his own people, and then anyone else that made him mad. He was responsible for killing some Americans. The last administration kissed and made up with Gaddafi in a bit of realpolitik. The fact is that I inherited this bloody tyrant from Bush. Last month it looked like his people were tired of him, and while I was encouraging others and other nations that we are going to help to rebuild, I shut off my mouth about Libya. Apparently the people of Libya didn't know about all of the people that the U.S. has encouraged and then allowed to be slaughtered in the Middle East off and on since 1989. They revolted. It looked like they were winning, so I did a little trash talking about what should happen to Gaddafi. It turned out that Gaddafi had learned a thing or two about retaining power in the Third World in the past 40 years or so. He used mercenaries and troops from tribes that are loyal to him to start killing the troublemakers that I had encouraged. I got the diplomats, their families, and any other Americans who wanted to hitch a ride out of the country before they became targets or shields. Meanwhile, the rest of the world told Gaddafi what a bad man he was, and said that somebody ought to do something. As Reverend Jackson used to teach inner-city kids to say, I am somebody. So I brought my skills as a community organizer to bear and began organizing at the United Nations. Over several days we took some steps we thought might get Gaddafi's attention. We froze more than $33 billion of Gaddafi's regime's assets. Joining with other nations at the United Nations Security Council, we broadened our sanctions and imposed an arms embargo. Then we screwed up and told Gaddafi and those around him they'd be held accountable for their crimes. I made it clear that Gaddafi had lost the confidence of his people and the legitimacy to lead. I said that he needed to step down from power. It turns out that Gaddafi doesn't bluff worth a darn. Since we'd made it clear that Gaddafi had nothing to lose, he doubled down. He killed more civilians, attacked hospitals, let his flunkies sexually molest anyone they wanted, cut off water, used tanks and artillery to punish opponents, and started using air power to stamp out the rebellion that had flourished up till then. That certainly wasn't what we expected to happen. The people I had earlier encouraged to rebel and the Arab League begged us to pull their chestnuts out of the fire. I ordered some ships into a position where they could look like a threat, and went back to community organizing in the United Nations. 10 days ago, the international community told Gaddafi, knock it off. And this time we mean it. Gaddafi didn't listen, and his troops were bearing down on Benghazi, which is almost as big as Charlotte. Chew on that, NASCAR fans, Gaddafi and Charlotte. At this point we faced a choice. We could keep doing what we were doing and let Fox News show the body count, or I could confuse everyone by doing something. It was not in our national interest for me to look weak and vacillating this close to 2012. I refused to let that happen. And so 9 days ago, after consulting the bipartisan leadership of Congress, I called from Air Force One on the way to Rio and authorized military action to stop the killing and enforce UN Security Council Resolution 1973. Our troops are superb. They did everything I asked them to, and they all survived for me to tell you about it. I'm totally not Bush. Because, nuance. And stuff. Also, well, I don't know. But I'm not Bush. We have an alliance that is almost half the size of the one that Bush put together. See how different I am? In the 1990s, when the Europeans couldn't get their stuff together to stop a massacre in their own backyard in Bosnia, it took over a year to drag the United States, our air power, and our wallets in. It only took me 31 days in Libya. I know you have questions. No, I'm not going to use ground troops. I'm not Bush, remember? Your TV will prove that I'm not Bush. This time the guys driving the technicals, those pickup trucks with machine guns mounted in the back that we fought against in Somalia and Iraq, are on the same side as us. Also, I need somebody to blame if this all goes south, so Hillary has talked NATO into holding the sack. Never mind that we hold NATO's sack. Watch this hand over here. Watching the hand that holds the ball is a false choice. Let me be clear. The military mission is not to kill Gaddafi, or even to remove him from power. But he will go anyway, because of unicorns and pixie dust. We used ground troops in Iraq and tossed Saddam out in a month and a half. But then we decided to build a nation, so we were still there 8 years and almost $1 trillion of my inherited deficit later. So no ground troops. I can finesse missiles and planes with my base. I cannot finesse a bunch of body bags, which would be the natural result of political micromanagement. It's true that America can't intervene everywhere. But that doesn't mean we can't interfere somewhere. Why Libya? Ask my pollsters. If I had done nothing, the price that we would have paid would have been far higher. I might not have been re-elected in 2012. His was not in America's interest. Remember how I said Libya is between Egypt and Tunisia back at the start? That's important because there are still a bunch of third-string reporters hanging out there in case something exciting happens again. If Gaddafi wasn't stopped, those third-string reporters would find themselves overloaded with interviews telling about massacres in Libya. This would not be in our national interest. It is Arab Spring. We once had a revolution and they're having a revolution. It's all just the same. Never mind that one of the military leaders of the Libyan revolt fought against us in Afghanistan and recruited people to fight against us in Iraq. Those are our technicals now. Remember, I told you to watch this hand. Tonight, let us give thanks for the Americans who are serving through these trying times, and the coalition that is carrying our effort forward. And let us look to the future with confidence and hope, not only for our own country, but for all those yearning for freedom around the world. Thank you, and God bless the troops, God bless America, God bless you, and God bless me. Yes. Nailed it.
Cut. Mr. President, could we try that again from the top? And this time I think you might want to use the teleprompter.